Ooh.
Yuck. Jesus.
This is a test.
Good, because fuck, I'm going blind.
Well, that happened eventually, right?
I will come over there, I swear.
So this is a commission I'm doing, and basically, buddy of mine has commissioned me to do salamanders. He wanted to. This is a Praetor for his 30k army for Horus Heresy, and he wanted to do more of an inverted color scheme to try a different Legion color out. So basically, I'm going to play around with the blacks and the greens, and how we can kind of change their color roll, the primary slot to the secondary slot. And he has some Forge World bits, some older Forge World bits, I guess, on here. I'm trying to play around with the Drake skin and basically make everything look like it's on fire. Additionally, when I was kind of paging through the Horus Heresy book, one of the campaign books, I discovered that the Salamanders in the past have they're really big on gold. And I think it's just kind of a thing that happened with the legions as they kind of grew into 40k, is that it started to feel like a bit of a oh, I'm trying to say here. It was it's fall colors. I think that's what I'm trying to say. They're mourning the past. There's a lot of remembrance of what the old legions were, and I think that's what we're trying to display here.
You sure you're not just trying to say they're all winters? That's their color palette. They're winters.
Well, I mean, we're working on that a little bit, but but basically, what I want to do is I want to try to show these are the salamanders in summertime, at the height and breadth of their powers. When they are still Legion strength, they are still led by their Primarch, their Liege Lord, and they basically need some guidance, you know. They're still young, they're still learning their craft, and their Primarch is working with them, you know. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to start kind of highlighting what I've done a little bit with this Canoptic Gray, this Canoptic Wraithbone, or whatever. I think it's Canoptic Brass or something. Ruiner Brass.
How about you look at your container?
Well, I mean,
then you would know for sure.
But yeah, I'm just doing simple strokes to just highlight the top tone of this right now. So anywhere I think the light's going to capture the most, it's going to be where this goes. And then once I finish with the brass here, my plan is to actually start working into the actual metal of the plates, because I'm going to play around with those black tones there, because I'm not going to just leave them straight black. And it would be easy to just do a straight dry brush or something over it, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give it a little bit more something. So here's just a light touch of this Retributor armor, the GW variant of gold, or old shining gold. This will date me. But yeah, so just doing a little touch there, just to add it up, kind of build some layers. The tones are going to start building, and he wanted me to spend some time with the characters, obviously, because they want to have more of a heroic feel to them. So play with ornamentation, maybe some freehand. Definitely right now I'm kind of been playing around with that hammer, because it's basically just a Drake skull, you know. It's been built around a Thunder Hammer from 40k, or I guess in this instance 30k. But I'm basically playing around with the heat, and if you can kind of notice, there's a lot of kind of tones I'm kind of building up here, and I want to play one of those eyes to burst out, you know, as it kind of turns. Because basically, as I said before, everything needs to be on fire. Because the salamanders like their fire. So, just playing around with that. And with the shield, I've also been kind of playing around with the kind of, there's some red, some yellow highlights in here to kind of be reminiscent of the shield itself being iron, of course. That's wrought and it's in fire. And then kind of playing around with the tones and trying to create a brightness and a shimmer to these kind of yellowish orange parts. Basically like the embers in a fire, the very bottom of the fire, or after a fire is burned for a very long time, it leaves a lot of char and a lot of residue and debris everywhere, but there's still like a few tiny bits of coals and tiny burning embers at the bottom of the flame, or what was the flame. And the embers, they just have a very, very minute presence in the actual paint job itself. So kind of trying to kind of take that concept of embers and have play with the armor. So there's not a lot of space here to actually do a lot of individual, you know, kind of freehand in the plate itself for that kind of effect. But I can do a little bit kind of in the gaps or the areas I think I really want to pop on the model, which is why, since the shield takes up such a large piece of real estate, I really want to make sure that shield really pops out when you see the model itself. So we're basically going to try to figure out a way to make these black tones far more interesting, figure out a mid and a light tone to work with, but also simultaneously, we are also trying to make sure that these tones do not overshadow these main pieces that I really want to be the primary focus of it. And of course, salamanders being from the world of Nocturne, well, the moon of Nocturne, I should say. Actually, no, sorry. I think it is there from Nocturne is a moon of Prometheus, or I might have that backwards. They have.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, it's the cells in their skin, part of their genetic gifts from the Emperor. They are immune to the effects of radiation, which Nocturne is abound in because of the constant geothermal activity happening underneath it, and basically because of because of how irradiated the planet is, the salamanders, the people, the warriors who come from the salamanders, the aspirants who become salamanders, they themselves are actually they have completely black, like ebony black skin as a result. Because of that, it just affected the melanin count in their skin, and because of the chromatophores or whatever the specific cells in their skin from being space marines, they actually, part of a side effect of absorbing the radiation is they darken the affected area of skin.
I think it's the cells that release like the membrane when they're in hard vacuum. I think that's the ones that do it.
Well, I know there's one where when they're in a void, their skin secretes a waxy substance.
Yeah.
That's supposed to act as some kind of sealant, so they can exist in the void for very short periods of time without armor, without an apparatus.
Prometheus is the moon, Nocturne is the planet.
Okay, so I had that backwards. Prometheus is in fact,
according to the wiki.
According to the wiki, but you know. The wiki's probably right.
More than likely.
But yeah, so yeah, at this point, I'm just going to start kind of building up and working with the black tones here. Like I said. So usually with black, what I try to do is I try to start with some very dark grays and kind of work my way into the black. And because I don't want the black to be overshadowed by the gray, which I think happens a lot if you just do like a simple layer of dry brushing or do something, something egregious like just plastering browns and all kinds of other colors onto it. So if I can find a darker gray here in my immediate colors, I don't think I have one out.
Blue.
No, I'll have to find one.
That's gray. Rust
Well,
gray.
it's a little
Pale.
paler. My Vallejo are downstairs, so I haven't touched those yet. We even played with some other kinds of grays too, some bluer grays, if you really want to, but that might be a little too experimental. Just because blue doesn't, well, overpower the black. You want the black to be the primary color, because these are salamanders, and I guess they like the color black and green a lot, so they are dragon people. We gotta do stuff with the dragon people. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this dark gray, put it on my palette, a touch more, put a little water in my palette too, probably a 1-to-1 consistency, probably a little less, maybe, I don't know. It's not an exact science, my methodology here, but now, oh, that's a little too much. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of start doing a little bit of light brushing here on the inside, just to create the, again, where I think the light is going to be touching, because we're just trying to create the idea of depth. So I think it's going to be the highest tone, essentially. Play around with that and just put that gray there and let it just take over. We can build up with a lighter gray on top of it if we really want to accent it. But right now, just want to start the process. And then I'll kind of make a decision as I kind of see the results. I know it's really visible from here, but the tones are already starting to kind of build up a little bit. It's probably not as clear. This is a new camera I'm testing out, so it might not be the most effective. And I'm still kind of playing around with my placement, so if you guys have a better idea, sure to let me know. But right now, like I said, I'm just going to work on those blacks and try to get the darker tones to kind of really pop and not just be so I don't know what word I'm looking for. I think it's, I don't want the tone to be, I don't want it to be so gray, but I don't want it to be so black that it lacks interesting features to it.
Looking for the right shade?
Well, the thing is, something I've learned just doing a lot of painting for miniatures and stuff in general is that the models that look really, really pop and look really, really interesting, the ones that have just a lot of line work or a lot of different tones, and it can be very subtle too. It doesn't have to be very large shifts in the tone, but that creates a lot of interest, and it makes the model look more interesting, and then we want to look at it more. It's just I think it's a natural thing that we do. See something interesting, we got to check it out.
Well, and our eyes are drawn to lines and strange shapes. That is fair. Exactly.
So it's just about creating like little interesting brushstrokes or color shifts that it obviously the goal is to make it look interesting, but there's also, I think, an aspect of realism. You're trying to emulate life. You know, how would these actual materials interact in the real world? And so there's like an element of that. So if you look at any particular substance or any particular material in the real world, in reality, there's not just one tone. There's usually a plethora of them, because light refracts off different parts of the surface, and it doesn't equally saturate every part of the surface evenly. So as a result, some parts will be more saturated or less saturated with the light, which will ultimately create depth, because that's how we're able to tell depth off, is we can see that, we can see how much is saturated, how much is not saturated, and our eyes and our mind instantly assumes, okay, the non-saturated one must be the one that's farthest away from me, or that's deepest receded, or is more obscured away from the light source. And so it allows us to kind of judge distance stuff. And I mean this is all just basic statements here. People know this stuff, but it's just kind of interesting. I've always found it interesting that there's kind of a weird science behind all this. There's a science. I mean, it is an art form. Cannot doubt that it is definitely an art form. But there's also a science to it about why we make particular choices, and kind of why different things are supposed to happen the way they do, and why it doesn't look realistic, or why that tone is more saturated or not, or whatever. You know, there's a logic to it, right? There's a logic to it. So it's up to the painter or the artist or who's ever trying to render it to kind of find the logic there and interpret it so that people can be there with him or her or whatever and discover it with them. That's one of the things I've always found interesting about this is an art form. But then again, at the end of the day, we are all painting plastic toys or resin toys or metal toys. There are some metal toys for entertainment or what have you. I don't know how I feel about that gray up there. Might touch that up later on. But we're all doing it for some reason. And that's one of the cats getting into something. As they do. As they do.
What did you do?
Well, now she wants to play with the feather.
When doesn't she want to play with the feather?
That is an excellent point.
Alright.
I don't know if there's really an answer to that.
The answer is always wants to play.
Well, you know.
Sometimes we give them drugs.
It's okay. It's okay. The feather it's stimulating. Sounds kind of weird.
The red dot, which gave her anxiety. So.
Yeah, but I'm already liking how that gray is beginning to affect the tone, starting to add some layering and depth to that, and that's actually, if anyone has ever done that before, and I apologize for the skittering noises you hear in the background. That is in fact the cat running around to the feather. If anyone's ever, has a cat or knows cat toy, the feather on the string. Well, our cats are manic for it, except for the older one, who is sitting by my side, actually, just being adorable.
Passed out.
Yep, and that is something that might happen frequently here on this channel, is that my cats will come visit. In fact, it happens a lot when they don't know what I'm doing, and they really want my attention.
They want your brushes.
They definitely want my brushes. I don't know why, but it has become a thing. And this might be slightly disorienting, but I'm realizing that this is probably blocking your line of sight. So let me try to shift this slightly, and maybe that will give you guys a better angle. And hey, if it doesn't, we tried. But yeah, so tell me if this works for you guys. Like I said, there's still a little bit of working on the setup here. But yeah, so right now this is what I've done so far, is I've put this down. So this is what I've done so far, is maybe this is a better angle for this, is I have done work on the shield. I'm working on the inside, trying to work with that heat like I was talking about before, but also using those grays very subtly. And I might even pull this back a little bit more because I don't like how gray some of it is. And I can pull that back more by just adding some layers of some yellows and other colors on top of that, some oranges probably, just to add more depth to it. But if you can see here, the gray, and my light might not be perfect for this. I'm working on that. Okay, hey, that doesn't look too bad here. The gray is beginning to build a little more interesting tones in that black, the black armor plates, and it's building more of this idea that this armor is not each of these plates isn't flat. They're in fact concave. So they have they're rounded essentially, more cylindrical. They rounded the edges. And I apologize in advance if you guys want more of a direct representation for this stuff. I am kind of a rambler by nature, so I tend to just go on and on and on and on to find my words, to find my statement. I'm trying to say. See, I just did it right there. But that is what I do. That is what I do. So I apologize if that's not what you are into. But you know, if you want to hang out here with us still, that's still great. This is something I finished before.
Don't apologize. It's cute.
I mean, you heard it from my girlfriend. Do not apologize for art, I suppose, is the quote. But this is one I worked on before. This was his other HQ he had in the box, you know, apart from his captains, his basic captains. This is Adrex Agatone, and just kind of give you a feel. I was working with that same kind of embery tone, so I was working on texturing the cloak and make it look like there's still kind of some hot embers or coals or whatever still burning within the skin of the actual Drake itself. The lava effect ended up turning out really, really nicely, and that was just really just kind of a building up of different layers of yellows, oranges, and you know, ultimately some whites at the very, very top for the heat. And then obviously working that around the stone a little bit so it was subtle and looked like the stone actually belonged there and was actually kind of hot, but not without overtaking the blacks again, because that was very important. I wanted to make sure again that the black was very important, because the black earth of the scorched earth of I guess Prometheus, or did we say it was Prometheus or Nocturne?
Prometheus is the planet, Nocturne is the moon. They live on both, it sounds like.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess either or. And then working with the skin, I really liked how it turned out. I even textured the actual like inside of the cloak a little bit just to give it the feel that this is actually like, you know, leather. This is leather and hide. The thing that I did not like that came out in this model was actually the brazier.
Yeah, it's not a brazier.
The brazier.
I don't think he's got one of those.
I mean, I guess you never know. Power armor, Primaris, power armor. I mean, I don't know. This is the rambling. This is the rambling again. So I think that was probably the only thing that didn't work out to my personal satisfaction. But everything else did work. The layering the armor did build up nicely. The actual texturing, the texturing the cape, the light, the heat at the bottom, you can kind of see a little bit reflected off of his cloak there. So you know, OSL lighting, object source lighting. I did try to texture the metal and the actual like cords itself. He was overall very satisfied with it, and so, you know, and this is I don't have it to show you right this moment, but I actually do have he commissioned me quite a while ago to paint his Vulcan for his 30K army, his Horus Heresy army, and I have that downstairs in the basement because well, he just leaves his 30K army here in case I need to paint it, or in case he ever shows up and wants to play a game. So
All of our friends leave their Warhammer here.
I mean, we have a sizable basement. But yeah, this is basically the goal I'm going with for his 40K army. So this is kind of the theme I'm going with. Obviously, I think this is more of a heroic level job. So I would not probably put this much level of detail in a like a tactical marine per se, or like an intercessor. But this would be what I would paint his heroes as, obviously. I have some tacticals that I could probably show you, just kind of a basic job I did. But the plan is to kind of do something more ornate, and again, highlight the differences between the summer and the autumn, kind of phases of this Legion, trying to really get into the psychology of why the heraldry has changed, and really kind of show that this is the Salamanders when they were at the height of their power, and they were, optimistic for the future, and they believed in what they were doing, and versus the Salamanders of the present and 40,000 universe timeline that are kind of holding on to the remnants of these tiny threads of the past. Meanwhile, the Empire is burning around them, and they're just trying to hold on to their little piece of Earth and keep it clean, keep it safe, protect it from all the enemy factions and species that would like to defile and destroy the Empire from within or without, I guess. But yeah, so I want to really kind of delve into that, and so a little bit about myself. I play Ultramarines. I also have a Space Wolf army, and I also have an army for Blood Angels. And I don't get to play the Blood Angels a lot, and the Space Wolves particularly as well. Space Wolves being played by my girlfriend over there a lot. She likes them a lot.
Oh, woo.
They are Space Wolves. I do play my Ultramarines quite a bit, and something that I've worked with to try to kind of highlight the differences between them is I kind of looked over the book, and this kind of gave me some ideas for that, and kind of led me to this kind of frame of thinking, was that golds are very 30K aesthetic, whereas the Ultramarines in 40K and 40,000 use a lot of reds and whites to act as honor markings or to highlight the blues. So gold is something that is actually kind of rarely used within the Ultramarines, despite the fact that it is one of their primary colors when you look them up or whenever you see the typical Ultramarine armor on the table. That is usually the second company actually highlighted. The second company is the one commanded by Captain Cato Sicarius, and that's the one that usually would go to war with that heraldry. In fact, each company has its own markers, its own heraldry and its own colors that it uses. So the Ultramarines, usually have a very myriad of colors. Something, just a little interesting note. So that's usually the color gold is usually just the second company, and apart from the second company, there's usually all kinds of other companies there. I think the 8th company, they have black for their trim, because that is the heraldry for the dedicated assault company. And the another one would be
The 4th company in their green trim.
Yep, the 4th company in their green trim, Captain Ideas.
No, it's Uriel Ventress now. It's canon.
Well, isn't it always green, or am I just mistaken about that?
It was always green, but it's Uriel Ventress now. It's canon.
Oh yes, he is canon. He is official. He is
He's official. He's the reason I got into Warhammer.
Yes. I enjoyed the Ultramarine books as well. I thought they were very good.
Pretty amazing.
Of course, this is way back in the day.
Yeah, I think I was like 14, 15.
I mean, I feel that's how a lot of people get introduced to this universe. It's not necessarily directly to the miniatures. It's also just like through the books. Sure. Like, I've met a lot of people that just saw a comic book about 40K, back when they were doing that weird partnership, I think with IDW or something.
Maybe?
I forget. It's been a while. All I remember is reading a book about an Ultramarine, about the fallout of Captain Ventress leaving the 4th company, and Sergeant Lee Archer's having to take over.
He's a jerk. It's been 15 years since I read that book, and he's still a jerk.
I mean, he is the original Lysandros, or whatever that guy's name is.
No, I think it's Lysandros, the one in the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lysander or something. Lysanders.
Something
I don't
like
know.
that. I don't know. I think that's that.
I'm not throwing shade at the all the
Buy the book.
Imperial Fist players out there.
Oh no, but I am throwing shade at all the people who play by the book. The Codex Astartes says.
Well, that is a common misconception about the Ultramarines.
Oh, I know.
As you are well aware.
Yes.
Is that they are not straight adherents to the Codex Astartes.
Unless you're Learchus.
It is usually something that they consider to be a book of guidelines, not actually a book of rules. Although it is something that is very fanatically followed and emphatically followed by other chapters as, well, it's their Bible.
So would you say it's really the pirate code from Pirates of the Caribbean? Like guidelines anyway.
It pretty much is to them.
Okay.
As far as I know, I mean, someone is going to tell me that I'm wrong, and more power to them. 40K is one of those universes that's really big, and anyone can really have their own view on it, and
True.
It's not necessarily wrong. But and 40K people tend to be very, very particular about their lore, so I am very aware about this. But they, as far as I know,
Are we fighting now?
I mean, I hope not.
I have a cat in each corner and they're staring at each other.
Oh, is it a standoff?
That's what it looks like.
Well, hopefully they don't start fighting. That'd be really awkward.
No, they don't have that body language anymore for about a split second there. Okay. Sorry, I'm derailing your conversation.
No, it's all right. I was rambling anyways, but
I told you, it's cute.
But basically, they're not strict adherents to it. They view it as an idea and something that they use as like part of their moral compass. But it's not their deciding factor. I kind of view it as anyone's ever watched NCIS. Gibbs has his trademark rules. I think we have that mug somewhere.
Yes, we do, because it's mine. The Gibbs rules.
The Gibbs rules. Yes, he has his trademark rules. But in that one episode. Wow, that one episode. There's a couple episodes where Gibbs says you can be wrong, and you are wrong sometimes, and it's kind of a beautiful moment because it's this idea that you can become so dogmatic and so emphatic in your own ideas that you can't see when they themselves when they come to the exception, right? They find that moment where they don't actually work in this instance, and I think everyone has that happen, right? Like there's that I think there's always an exception to the rule, right? There's always something that you can't really imagine or think of, and then it happens, and then you're like, okay, well, this is I didn't foresee this happening, so I guess my rule did not encompass this instance, but hey, now it does, and that's when the Ultramarines, being very versatile, I think, in their thinking, tend to go, okay, well, the Codex was not written for this instance, but given the guidelines that I can understand and what teachings I have been familiarized with, I can come up with I can kind of adjust my thinking and how I'm planning to shoot this particular kind of situation, and that's really where I think the Ultramarines mindset is they don't really get. They use it as a guideline to an extent, but they don't follow it to a fault. They don't go, oh, okay, well, the Codex says this, it has to happen this way, we have to do it this way. They say, well, we're going to follow the Codex. But when the Codex doesn't encompass this particular, situation, it's not meant for this situation, then we have to adjust and think for ourselves. The Primarch gave us these rules to help us, but not to be our only guide, their source or guidance. They're supposed to teach us so that we can think for ourselves, kind of thing. So I think that's what really the big thing about the Ultramarines are, is that they're very versatile in their thinking, and people often look at them as very dogmatic with the Codex Astartes and such. And while their Primarch did write it, even Guilliman, when he came back, was like, the Codex doesn't really work, not the way I intended it to, anyways. And we need to do something about it. The Codex is meant to work this way, it doesn't work this way, so we need to amend it. And that's what he did during the Great Crusade. Guilliman is he saw where things weren't working, and he kind of made adjustments. And that's why he came up with all these kinds of different units and different kinds of tactics. He kind of stole a little bit from each of the legions. He said, okay, that's effective, that's effective, that's effective, that's effective. How do we combine them so that we can cover all the weaknesses of one instance and kind of carry it through. And that's that's a very Roman way of doing things, I think. Just because the Romans weren't very good at making their own things. What they're really good at is taking things that other
Greeks mostly.
Well, Greeks mostly. Other kingdoms, other civilizations they encountered had come up with, and adjusting them and making them just a little, well, not better, but a little different, so as to be considered a Roman idea. But also, in some instances, actually improving upon it. For instance, I think there were a lot of different designs for many different types of Greek, kind of artillery pieces. Not like, cannon artillery, but artillery like ballista and that kind of stuff. And the Romans took those ideas. The Greeks really didn't, think much of them. They didn't really think of them really as anything to use in, actual battle situations. But the Romans took it and said, hey, well, what if we took it and adapted it a little bit?
And now we have scorpions.
And, enlarged the size. And yeah, we have these huge onagers that can chuck, huge rocks, large portions, mana girls, and eventually the ultimate evolution of it, the trebuchet, that can act as a lever and essentially chuck a very large rock a very considerable distance into a castle wall.
With considerable force.
Yes, considerable force. So, it's like a series of evolutions of the same idea, but it's a very Roman concept. They in fact, a lot of the Roman weapons we consider to be like Roman weapons really kind of started out as weapons from other factions. They liked the Gladius Hispaniensis, and they said, oh, this really great stabbing sword from Spain, we're going to use it as our main weapon, and it became their Gladius, which literally just means sword, but it became the infamous Roman Gladius Hispaniensis, which means a Spanish sword, I guess. And they took it from Spain, basically. And that became their main weapon, and the Romans are known for it, but it's actually, it was originally a Spanish idea. And the pile, I think the pile is actually one of their ideas, but it kind of stems from Greek ideas and Germanic ideas of like spears and stuff like that. But yeah, no, it's so it's just goes to show you that it's like sometimes you have to be flexible in your thinking, right? It's good to have flexibility when it comes to your thinking. Nothing is ever just A and B or black and white. There's always a myriad of things that can happen that you're not really able to. I mean, this is getting to more philosophy area, and who knows, maybe we have to make a philosophy part of the channel. But
the philosophy corner.
The philosophy corner with Guilliman and Perturabo, because they could probably
argue
each other. Yeah, there'd be a lot of quotes of Shakespeare and such.
Shakespeare, sir.
Correct. Shakespeare and all three of his plays. Is that what they said? Three of his plays.
Yep, all three of his plays.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That was also in 30K. That might be missing again in 40K.
Oh, this is fair. This is fair. The records did kind of get, smashed up with the whole Civil War uprising thing that happened. How many apocalypses humanity survived in 40K?
I want to say 6.
I feel like it's more than that.
I feel like it's like 6 big ones.
I mean, you're probably right. Like galaxy spanning.
Right.
Galaxy spanning apocalypses.
Yeah.
Okay, I can accept that. I can accept that. Oh boy, I went too nuts with this orange. Oh, well, I'll just have to pull it back a little bit. That's okay. But I'm again highlighting those areas, trying to make them look a little more interesting, add a little bit more texture, a little bit more tonality to it, add the depth. My goal is to eventually get a better camera than this, but for now, this is what I have. So hopefully the resolution is good enough that it's actually
I'm just hoping
legible.
it's not shaking when you're shaking the table.
Yes, that is something that happens very frequently. I do have shaky leg syndrome.
You have earthquake legs.
I do. I do. There was a thunder thigh joke there, but I wasn't going to touch it.
That's my job.
I guess so.
You have earthquake legs, I have thunder thighs. There we go.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Joke has been made. Done.
Not going to touch that one. Not going to touch that one.
Because you don't have to. I already did.
There you go. There you go. Anywho.
Cat.
Oh, boy. Cats.
Oh, no, he's good. Okay.
Cats.
I keep forgetting I put their food bowl out here.
Oh. Well, shame on you.
I will throw glue at you.
I believe you. But yeah, so, and just kind of pulling the orange tones here, because this is where the really hot piece of metal is. So this
So
would be
hot.
this is be yes, it is. It's Justin Bieber hot.
Ew. Why? Why do you hurt my soul, Fulgrim?
I guess so. Don't hate me. You best believe. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
So wait, does that mean Fulgrim is Justin Bieber or Justin
I
Bieber
really,
is Fulgrim?
really hope not, and that's a comparison that I now have to think about
You're welcome.
in the back of my head.
Everyone else has to think about it too.
You know, I've often thought that Fulgrim kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and that probably came out a lot worse than I intended it to. And this is how it starts. This is how it starts.
Oh shit. Oh, I love you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here. I'm really sorry I've driven you all away.
Oh god. Oh god.
Ugh. But yeah. Fulgrim is a creepy dude.
This is a vast understatement.
It's a vast understatement.
He's a creepy snake dude now.
Yes.
With like 6 arms or something crazy.
Or isn't that not even Fulgrim at this point? Isn't that just kind of like just a snake guy?
I firmly believe it's just a demon.
Just a demon kind of possessing his body.
But I also haven't read all of the books about him for 30k, so I don't know yet. I am behind.
I'm farther behind than you are.
This is true. But you paint more, I read more.
Yeah. I mean, I try to catch up on it. It's so hard to keep up on 40k lore. For those of you who are not big lore people out there, you should know that lore is kind of difficult to keep up on.
Because it changes every time somebody sneezes.
I mean, I feel like they're more consistent than they were.
That's fair.
I think one of the big issues in general is just the fact that there's so much of it. And while some of it is contradictory, there's just so much lore. It's really hard. Like, I think when we tried to do that Horus Heresy campaign, like the one for RPG, for an RPG.
We used the Crusade one.
Everyone gave me their respective chapters, and I went on like, you know, Wikipedia and stuff and tried to research all of it because I wanted to I wanted to include as much tidbits as possible and not really contradict anyone's, like, you know, backstories and stuff. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be studied in my subject matter.
Which is why I gave you Thousand Suns, because you knew them. You're welcome.
They're one of the founding legions. It's not that hard to recognize them. But yeah, I mean, but I distinctly remember going on the Wikipedia and just getting completely annihilated with just like the vast quantity of information there were about any one legion. Oh, that is bad. Whoa.
Sorry.
No, that was me. That was me.
Yep,
That
I
you
know.
knew.
Just
A little artist trick, by the way. If you have something wet that's still down, it's still wet paint. You can actually take a brush, just a blank brush, with a drop of water on it, and you can actually just wipe it away. And this is a little trick I learned in art school. No, actually, I learned it in like high school or something. I had an art teacher in high school.
More than I ever learned in high school art.
I mean, I really didn't feel like I learned a lot in high school art classes. I feel like it was just an elective I took, and I just got credits for it.
I mean, fair.
I mean, I loved the teacher, and I loved the things we did, because we watched Miyazaki movies all the time. But...
I just kicked the table.
We listened to... We would watch a lot of Miyazaki movies while we were painting or whatever, and that was our art class. And then we would do, like, paintings, like... We watched, like, Bob Ross stuff. Instructional videos.
Happy trees.
You know, I didn't realize how much of a thing he was back then. I just knew that there was this weird guy on the TV screen painting. And,
with an afro.
well, with an afro. He just had, like, this
afro.
very niche way of talking. Just he was so polite, and he just seemed so nice. Like, just so nice.
He was the Mr. Rogers of painting, ya baby.
And he was genuine. Like, it didn't feel fake. It didn't feel like he was, you know, he was trying to sell me something, or he was, like, you know, playing to a camera or to an audience. Like, it felt fairly genuine. I mean, maybe I'm just gullible, but I felt like it was actually a dude actually, you know, talking to me about his day. And trying to instruct me how to art, I guess. But yeah, no, it's, we got him Bob Ross somehow. These segues, I tell you what, it's gonna kill our runtime.
We have a runtime?
I don't know.
It's called editing, dude.
The power of editing.
Because you're gonna need to edit over every single swear word I've said already.
The power in the verse. No greater power in the verse than editing.
Okay, Mal.
I mean, you wish.
Kind of. Have you seen those pants?
Yeah.
And his nickname is Captain Tight Pants.
This is fair. I don't really feel like I actually got much instruction video done, but there was quite a lot of banter. But anyways, so this is basically my idea for what I'm gonna do with Salamanders, and this is kind of the beginning of the project for you know, this Praetor here, at least with the Thunderhammer Storm Shield, Cataphracti Plate Armor, and I can do another video showing off kind of what I have, and kind of also do another video kind of working over my process more. But tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys like. If there's anything that you like here, or there's anything you want me to try, or any part of the format that isn't working for you. You know, I would love to hear some good feedback about it. You know, constructive criticism, please, and you know, improve it, because I want to make this as enjoyable as possible for you guys. And yeah, so just, you know, let me know in the comments below, or I guess you can. I don't know if it's still. I'm pretty sure you can send a message or something. But yeah, if you guys want to just let me know. It'd be great. Anyways, have a nice day. I guess we'll see you on the next one.